do we mean by an exercise? Simply defined, an exercise is a rehearsal of an emergency in which members of various agencies participate. The emergency is simulated and sometimes participants assume roles, but the responses are as realistic as possible. There are 5 types of exercise activities, each having a key role in a community emergency program. As a rule, they progress from simple to more complex. These are the orientation, drill, tabletop, functional, and full-scale exercise. All have an important role in a community exercise program. The first is the orientation, which, as the name suggests, is an overview or introduction. An orientation seminar takes place in an informal group setting. It's easygoing and low stress. Its purpose is to familiarize participants with responsibilities during an emergency. It's also intended to motivate. Usually in attendance are 1 or more representatives of all agencies having emergency management roles. The orientation is especially useful to introduce new policies, plans, and procedures, or to explain existing ones to new people. The facilitator may use a number of teaching methods, such as panel discussions or slideshows, but it's mostly guided discussion. Orientations are relatively short, maybe only an hour or so, and easy to prepare. Participants are encouraged to ask questions and discuss problems, but there is no attempt at simulations. The focus is on low-stress discussion. A second type of exercise activity is the drill. Most of us have had experience with some kind of drill, such as a fire drill or emergency medical drill. It is an experience designed to test, develop, or maintain skills in a single emergency response function within a single agency. It often involves an actual field response. Some drills, however, do not have a field component, such as call down and command post drills. The strength of a drill is its focus on a relatively limited portion of the overall response system. There's no attempt to coordinate agencies or test multiple functions. Tabletop exercise simulates an emergency situation in an informal, stress-free environment. Participants gather to discuss emergency situations in order to evaluate plans and procedures and resolve questions of coordination and responsibility. Though it's based on a simulated disaster, there's no attempt at real-time constraints. A tabletop exercise is informal and relaxed, emphasizing slow-paced problem-solving rather than rapid, spontaneous decision-making. Here, representatives of community agencies are meeting to test plans and procedures for a possible flood. Participants will be asked to respond to events that might actually occur, to make decisions and explain their part in the overall plan. Before arriving, they've been briefed on the nature of the disaster that will be simulated. To make the exercise as realistic as possible, maps of the area are provided, and each player receives relevant data. The exercise is managed by a facilitator who sets the stage and guides the discussion.
Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for the area with further rains predicted.
Next, the facilitator hands out a series of messages, each describing a problem to which someone must respond.
Water diverted downstream has taken out phone lines in the canyon. If the lines go out, we won't have any contact with the people monitoring the dam. Cellular phones won't work in that area. What's the plan?
We'll be maintaining contact via radio. The Bureau of Reclamation will also have someone airborne flying over the dam with radios.
If a particularly perplexing problem arises, it can be discussed by the whole group. Tabletop activities can often be finished in a couple of hours. Even though the scenario may not have run to completion, the goals have been achieved. People from various agencies have met together and talked. A functional exercise expands the methods of the tabletop to achieve more realism. As its name suggests, it focuses on the emergency functions needed to respond to a disaster. It is a coordinated response to an emergency in a time-pressured, realistic simulation. The functional exercise is much more complex and tension-filled than a tabletop. Whenever possible, it takes place in the Emergency Operations Center, which is where officials gather in the event of a real emergency. The exercise space is organized into areas reflecting participant roles. For example, one area is for players who normally assemble in the EOC. These include officials with the authority to make important decisions, such as the mayor, city council members, or heads of departments. Assisting them are people responsible for coordination and operations. These players are representatives of police, fire department, and public works, private sector representatives from churches, utilities, hospitals, and the like. All the players assume their real-life roles during the exercise. In another area are simulators who assume roles other than their own, actors in a sense. They send messages to the players describing imaginary events. Their messages may be transmitted by means of telephones, written notes, or radio. Stationed in key locations are evaluators who assess the progress of the exercise. The exercise is managed by a controller. The action begins with a narrative that sets the stage. Quite often it is read aloud, or for greater realism, it can be simulated on TV or radio.
This is Jerry Cartwright reporting for KACP Television. We have an emergency broadcast message. Just moments ago, there was evidently an earthquake in the Salt Lake, Davis, Utah County, and Weber County areas. We do not have any further information as to the strength of that quake. We're working to find out for you. We also don't exactly know where the epicenter was, but we have reports from residents saying that it was extremely strong at the south end of Salt Lake County.
The ball is now in the simulators' court. Their job is to relay pre-written messages to the players, who will then take action as they would in the event of a real earthquake.
This is Public Works.
No injuries to the employees that were evacuated. Ron Kay called us from Utah Valley Hospital.
Okay, now if you could, Brent, have him make sure that there's no damage in the area so the helicopter can set down. We've set the helicopter down there before, so I'll inform them that he'll be there.
Sally in the computer room. Hey, get somebody over there. We need help with her fast.
Simulators assume the roles of all kinds of people affected by the disaster, from government officials to ordinary citizens.
This is Tom Citizen. I live up here on 3900 South at 3239 East, and some idiot guy's running by my home turning off my gas. My home's not hurt. He says that you guys told him to turn off everybody's gas. Now what the hell's going on? Hello? Public Works? Randy, your line? What's the airport line? I haven't heard anything from the airport yet. I really haven't. Let me do this. What number are you on? 106? Okay. I will double check and get back with you as quickly as I can. Hang tight. Okay, who's got the airport? Anybody got the airport?
A full-scale exercise is as close to a real disaster as possible. Like a drill, a full-scale exercise involves the actual mobilization of personnel, equipment, and resources in the field. It differs from a drill in three important ways. First, it coordinates the actions of several agencies. Second, it should test nearly all emergency functions. And third, in a full-scale exercise, the Emergency Operations Center should be activated. Field command posts may be established as well. The actions of participants are directed by reactions to ongoing events at the scene. Participants respond to an emergency in the actual place, in real time, performing the actions that would be required in a real situation and using real equipment. The stressful environment and real-time response closely simulate actual response conditions. Planners go to great lengths to achieve realism. This has been a quick overview of the 5 exercise activities included in an exercise program.